month long, we've been talking about this idea of beyond the clouds. Talking about how God created the heavens, the earth, and everything in between, right? We learned that He was the creator and the sustainer our first week. Not only did He create the world, but He actually sustains it. He looks after it. Last week we talked about how God is seen as this loving God, this relational God. We talked about how He loves us with no strings, what? No strings attached, right? Talking about the idea of God is holy. Now for a lot of us here, when we hear the word holy, we go, I don't really know what holy means, because when I think of holy, it's usually a swear word might come after it in my household, or maybe you say that. I'm not saying you do. But holy is this idea of perfectness, flawlessness, right? And just like God is love, how He asks us to love our neighbors as ourselves, because He is love, He actually tells us that we are to be holy too, right? He says this. He says, but just as He who called you is holy, so be holy in all that you do. For it is written, be holy because I am holy. And the one way I can think about this is that if you are a fan of basketball, right? Maybe Steph Curry is someone that you are a big fan of, and you want to be just like Steph Curry. So you practice your crossovers every single day. You practice shooting your threes from 40 feet away from the net, trying to drain as many as you can. But guess what? You're never going to be like Steph Curry. But seeing that is almost like this sort of goal to achieve. This goal that you're trying to achieve. You see, I've got two kids. You've probably seen them here before. They're kind of crazy at times. So I've never had to teach my kids to be disobedient. I've never had to teach my kids to say things they shouldn't say. They're born into sin, because in Romans 3:23 it says, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. So we look at ourselves, this thing called sin, this thing that anything we think, say, or do that goes against God's perfectness, takes us, dilutes us, right? And it changes us. And when He comes into our life and we realize, man, I am a sinner, I've done wrong things, God, Jesus, please forgive me. You see, the Bible tells us that it makes us clean.
Hey, yo.
It takes that sin away. We don't look exactly the same. It's a little bit shaded up here a little bit, but here's the thing.
Hey, yo.
When God comes into our life, He takes that water, that sinful nature that we have, and He changes us. Back to the way He sees us. The Bible tells us that when we ask Jesus to come into our life to forgive us of our sin, He sees us as clean water. Because that sin, when Jesus came to this earth and He died on the cross for your sins, the weight of that, right? He came on and died on the cross for every sin that you thought of, every sin that you did in the past, every sin that you'll do in the future, not just yours, but mine, the whole world. You see, when that sin came upon God, upon Jesus, it had no effect on